welcome back to my channel. So today we're actually going to talk about the theater, musical theater. My hair is driving me crazy. Excuse me for a second. I just worked out, so I have warm water here. Look at that lighting change. I do actually like drinking warm water just because it like gets absorbed in my body a lot easier, especially after I've exercised. Not that I exercised that long ago, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, we're going to dive in and talk about musical theater as a music activity, and this is a very popular music activity, so why don't we dive in? Actually, of course, everybody knows what to do, okay? You subscribe, you hit the notification, you like the video. I just don't like to say it in every single video. You all know what to do all the things. I really appreciate it. I would love it so much. Like, no joke. Like, I would actually really love it. I take all the comments and likes very seriously. I am a little scared when the hate comes. You know, we can only avoid it for so long, and I hope it doesn't like downplay anything, because I do like sharing my experiences with everybody, and especially because music therapy is a topic that actually diving in isn't necessarily mentioned on YouTube that often, so I like to share my experiences with you guys. Anyway, so we're going to talk about musical theater. When I spilled this all over myself yet again. I don't really like this couch, so it doesn't really matter. It's going to get thrown out anyway. So musical theater. My first experience, like, I'm kind of sad that this was my first experience. I kind of wish I did musical theater earlier. But my parents weren't very pushy people. They're not, believe it or not, they're not competitive. They're not pushy. They're very humble, very quiet, very passive. I don't know. That's the way they are. But so my first experience doing musical theater, I was going into 6th grade because it was the summer. And at the time, now I had a brother, obviously, I still have a brother, and he had friends, and all of his friends lived like very, very close, like within walking distance from our house. They still live within walking distance, or their parents, I should say, still live within walking distance of my parents. So, anyway, so his friends were all very close, and yes, I had friends like in the neighborhood too, but like, I don't know, I'm not very social. Plus, I don't really get along with ladies. I have one girlfriend from college, or one girlfriend from high school, a couple girlfriends from college, and then work. As I got older, in college, I got more girlfriends, but there was a period of time when I was a tomboy. Believe it or not, people don't believe that, because in real life, I'm very girly. Anyway, I guess I was always girly. It was just like I would play games with the guys, with my brother's friends. And to this day, they're still wonderful individuals. Like, they always invite me out. Obviously, we don't play games anymore or video games like we do adult things, but they still always invite me out, and it's a lot of fun. One time we went shopping on Black Friday, and it was the best thing on the face of the earth. Anyway, so, so I always played with my brother's friends. Like, we would play basketball or jump on the trampoline, play on the swing set, you know, like what kids do. But I never actually did an activity. All the extracurricular activities I did, band, orchestra, choir, these weren't physical activities. And at that point in my life, like when I was 10, I stopped doing dance and I stopped doing gymnastics because music kind of took over. So I wasn't doing anything physical, and that's probably why I still, to this day, have a hatred for exercise. I exercise, I just hate it. Every minute, I hate it. So, anyway, when I did my first musical theater, program, it was like a summer program through the school district. I think it was like $100, something like that. And that like included food and costumes and, you know, the teacher's pay. It was a pretty good deal, to be honest. And then yeah, and it was a lot of fun, and I really liked it. It was actually, musical theater was one of the one activities that I could actually do that had physical activity in there at that time. Like, it sort of encompassed everything. So when I was in 6th grade, I started playing flute, but I didn't take it seriously until I was 16, to be perfectly honest with you. But I did play flute. However, I liked musical theater because I got to sing, I got to be on stage, I got to dance, got to act. Musical theater. 6th grade musical theater acting. I don't necessarily think that counts as acting, but we could call it acting if you want. But yeah, it was fun. And my first musical was actually The Wizard of Oz, so even better, because I knew the storyline. And then, yeah, so then that kind of got the ball rolling. And then I did musical theater all through middle school. We didn't have marching band when I was in middle school at my school. So I did musical theater all through middle school. I did the summer program. I did the school musical. And then high school, same thing. So summer program, school musical. Yeah, and it was great. And then I did musical theater. I think I did it 3 years in college. I didn't do it all 4. Oh, I'll explain why in a second. So anyway, yeah, but it was great. And actually, my favorite musical, well, I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. But the musical that I referenced the most, actually, that I was in was 42nd Street. And I remember at the time, my grandma came to see me. And she, like, there was a character in the show that had the same name as my grandma. And she got, like, all the little nuance references, and it's funny. Anyway, I ended up seeing 42nd Street in Maine at Bowdoin College. That was pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah. About the Bowdoin College Theater. I don't know if I forget who ended up being in the show, but that's the musical that I reference actually the most, especially in my music therapy sessions, believe it or not. But musical songs are great, and if you're going to be a music therapist, like, it's wonderful, because, like, you can pull out these musical songs, like, well, Wizard of Oz everybody knows, but, like, 42nd Street, Music Man, Fiddler on the Roof, like, these are popular musicals that people are familiar with the song. Annie, Get Your Gun, like, they have really good songs, like There's No Business Like Show Business, or We're in the Money, and these songs, like, people will recognize, and it's kind of a catchy tune, but they don't actually know, like, where the song is from. There's lots of renditions of these types of musical songs. Certain musical songs, like, they'll have renditions, and it's really great to bring into your music therapy session. Just little fun fact. Anyway, so yeah, so I really liked doing musical theater, and that's, I think, one of the main points. I liked musical theater. I actually liked the art of doing multitasking on stage. I liked that type of style of activity. Now, I was not very good at musical theater. At least I didn't think I was, because I never really got casted as anything big, right? I always had minor parts, and to be honest, I was totally okay with it. Like, I know that sounds really weird, and my parents used to think it was really strange too, how I would audition, of course, because everybody had to audition, but I wouldn't necessarily, and I would take passion in it, and I would practice a lot for the audition, but if I didn't get casted in a role, like a major role, I should say. I did a couple of minor roles. But if I didn't get casted as a major role, like, I don't know. I never really took it to heart. I know that sounds like really weird, because I just told you I put a lot of time and effort into practicing, and I put a lot of time and effort into auditioning, and everybody kind of had to audition, But I put a lot of time and effort into it, but for some reason, like, when I didn't get casted, I didn't really care. And the reason why is because I actually liked the ability to multitask. That's the key, right? Because obviously music therapy, we multitask, right? We play guitar, we sing, we adjust as we go. So musical theater was kind of the first activity that I was able to do that, right? I mean, it's not for a therapeutic goal necessarily, but it was the start of multitasking while performing music. Marching band was also a multitasking, but to be honest, marching band was like really easy. It really doesn't take that much skill to be in marching band, even especially as a flute player. I know flute players, it's really competitive, but it's really not that hard. Anyway, but musical theater can be hard sometimes, especially if you're trying to be somebody that you're not, because we have the acting factor in there. Anyway, so yeah, so I didn't really get the best roles. I often got very minor parts, or like, oh, I feel sorry for her, let's just give her this role type of parts. But for some reason, it never really bothered me. Anyway, then I went to college, and like I said, I did the musicals at college. Our director got sick one year. That's what happened. I have my notes. That's why I only did the musical for 3 years, instead of 4, because one year we didn't have a musical. Anyway, so when I went to college, obviously my voice lessons were classical voice lessons, and we did master classes. Everybody does this, right? You do like classical lessons, master class, and then if you're a therapy major, you do like music therapy, voice lessons, music therapy, piano, music therapy, guitar, music therapy, percussion. I think I took percussion twice, actually, like lesson percussion and then class percussion. Oh, and then I took it at my internship, too. But anyway, because it was different styles, that's why. So, anyway, so my classical voice teacher, obviously we had master class. Obviously we had to do characters. And I had to prep for my senior recital, which, again, I did characters in that concert. I don't really like talking about my senior recital because, like, I don't know. I worked so hard prepping for my senior recital, and I actually enjoyed the process of prepping more than the actual concert. Again, I know that sounds really weird, but hey, maybe this is why I like going to school. I actually like the process of going to school. So, well, I don't know, not really now anymore, but like, that's why I go to school and do research, because I like the process more than the end result, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, but yeah. So I don't really talk about my senior recital that often, but when I was prepping for it, and we start prepping like sophomore year, So my voice, and then I had master class freshman year. So my voice teacher actually mentioned that she was like, did you do the musicals in high school? And I was like, yeah, I did. And then she said, did you ever get casted as something big, like a major role? And then I said, no, I didn't. And then she said, oh, it was probably because of the way you look on stage. And I was like, the way I look on stage? Like, what is that supposed to mean? And then, then I said, like, what do you mean? Like, do I look ugly on stage? Like, And then she was like, no, you just look really little. Like, you can't necessarily, no matter how much you try, you can't necessarily hold your own on stage because you're little. And I've mentioned this a couple of times to a couple different people, that I'm always like, oh, I know I'm small, I know I'm short, whatever. I know I'm little. But, like, sometimes I look at people and I'm like, oh, that girl is definitely little. She's definitely smaller than me. And she's not. She's actually bigger than me. Like, so I am really, really little. And it still doesn't hit necessarily, but it really didn't hit until I started recording myself in my master classes. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I remember we had to position the piano in a certain way at a certain angle, so that it didn't like kind of overcompass me. And I'm sure that and then the stage that we used was a smaller stage. So, but still, like, I never really realized how little I was. I actually thought that she made that comment to be nice, because to be honest, like, you learn so much in your college music lessons that you don't necessarily learn in high school, and it's nobody's fault. Well, it's public school's fault, so I'll tell you that. But for the most part, as a musician, you do grow and change and adapt. It's kind of like how undergrad is all memorizing, and then graduate school is applying concepts. It's sort of the same idea, but just with like musical skills. So I was learning like different types of musical skills, and obviously my skills developed like in college, and so I thought she was just saying that to be nice, because I was like, maybe I wasn't that great in high school, and I probably wasn't, because I grew a lot. But I didn't really realize that that was actually a thing. And again, I was starting to kind of toy with this idea. And my voice teacher was, well, she was like, and this is one of the reasons why I like watching Dance Moms, because my voice teacher was like Abby, but she wasn't mean. You know what I mean? Like, she had that, Abby sometimes gives like advice, and the way she comments about advice, and the way she doesn't necessarily like, she praises sometimes, but not always. Like, those types of things make her very similar to my voice teacher. They don't look alike. They're not mean. Like, she's not mean. There's no drama, because it wasn't TV. But, like, just their teaching style. And most of the voice teachers at my university were sort of like that kind of teaching style. I think it's just really popular, especially in the vocal industry. But it's good. It's tough love, but it's not like mean tough love. Anyway, so then when like I said, I was in college, right? And I have a picture to show you guys. I asked to be in Pitt Band, because I never was in band, like Pitt Band before. For the musicals, I was always on stage. So in college, I asked if I could be in the Pit. And that year we did, what show was this? Addams Family. And so I have a lovely picture of me here. Let me put this down so I don't spill it. I know this video is kind of all over the place. I have a lovely picture here of me. So cute, right? And then I have my piccolo, and then my flute is like over here. And the comment says, learned all my Pitt music in 3 hours with my 2 best friends. Clearly I was throwing shade at the other flute players, because that's what you got to do in the entertainment industry, friends. Anyway, so I asked if I could be in Pitt Band, right? And the director, she was like, oh, yeah, sure. And I was like, what? Like, am I not good enough? Do you have somebody else in mind? Like, yeah, you can tell me. Like, tell me how it is, because I'm a sharpshooter, so you could be a sharpshooter with me. So she's like, no, I don't have anyone else in mind. Like, you're the best. Like, I want you to be in Pitt Band. I just had something else in mind. And I was like, what did you have in mind? Like, And then she was like, well, I rented the costumes, and there's this costume that I specifically rented just for you, because you're the only one in the cast that could actually fit in it. And I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, now I'm going to show you the picture. This costume was so cute. And I do have to say that my wig was like everything. Look at how cute that costume is. Like, so adorable. And yes, we had these like umbrellas as a prop. And my hair, my cousin rocks the white hair, actually. And she looks so gorgeous. So when I get old, she's not old, but when I get old, I'm going to rock the white hair just because of that outfit. But anyway, so that confirms, that was, I think, one of my last musicals that I did, and that confirms the fact that, I was only casted in roles because of costumes or because of sizing, because like that was mentioned. Another time that I got casted as a guy, and yet again it was because of a costume. They rented the costume and I was the only one that could fit in it. Like, I think these people need to start renting like Charlotte's Web, Alice in Wonderland children's costumes, and then I'll be able to star in like the big scene. But anyway, so yeah, so that was kind of a shocker to me, and I'm glad I found out about it when I did, because I would have gone my whole life thinking that I was horrible at musicals. And I don't know, I mean, I don't really think I was the best, I'll be honest, but like I don't think I was terrible either, cuz like, you know, I did go to a music school. I was a really talented musician. I am a really talented musician. But the point that I'm trying to say is that a lot of music therapists are or do musical theater prior to becoming a music therapist. Sometimes musical theater has been the thing that really made the individual happy and moving forward with music in college. And I think that that's a wonderful thing. I think musical theater is one of the few musical activities that do allow us to multitask in the moment and adapt and work with one another. I will say that probably almost all the skills that I learned going through musical theater, all the skills like I think I've done like everything. It's just the one thing with music therapy that's kind of challenging is like when you're in musical theater, you play a character. And you can be goofy and silly or serious or whatever the case may be. And for music therapy, the one thing that I would say to keep in mind is like you are yourself. As a music therapist, you're not playing a character. And honestly, the clients don't necessarily have an issue with that, but staff do. And I think that that's something to be said, that like when you're going through the actions as a music therapist, just make sure that you keep in mind you're not playing a character. And you try to be as authentic and less silly, because then staff can sometimes, that makes you lose your advocacy that you've been trying for. But I will say though, if you are interested in music therapy and you're in middle school, or even maybe you're in high school and you don't play an instrument, I would definitely check out musical theater and like do Pitt Band or help with the sets. At least like kind of check it out, see what it's like. You don't have to be center stage, but like check it out, because it's one of the few musical activities that you do get to participate in at a young age that has all of these factors going on at the same time. And if you're able to sort of do that when you're a kid, I mean, it doesn't take that much thinking, especially when you're a kid, you're very creative. So if you're able to like have that experience, I think it's great, and I really do think that it will help you figure out if you want to be a music therapist. The skills that you learn will definitely help you in music therapy. It's not a bad idea, and like I said, you can do so many different avenues when you help with music. Like with musical theater, you can like do sets, you can play in band, you can pass out flyers, you could sell tickets, you could do all these things. You don't have to be center stage. And it's okay. It is okay to be in the background and to be an introvert, even if you're going to become a music therapist. Believe me, I've done it. So anyway, I hope you guys had a nice day. Thanks for going back memory lane to some musical theater experiences that I've done. And I hope that you guys have fun doing musical theater as well. Don't get upset or discouraged if you don't get casted. It might just be because of a costume. Anyway, have a great day, everyone. Talk to you later. Bye!